Hi everyone, this is Ted Butler here speaking to you live from the Metals Investor Forum in Toronto. I have with me here Ken Konkin, President, CEO and Director of Goldstorm Metals Corp. Ken, amazing to be here with you today.
Thanks, great to see you again,
Yeah.
Ted. Great to be here.
Yeah, so I think the last time we caught maybe was Beaver Creek. Since then you've obviously moved from Tudor Gold to Goldstorm, and you've got some really exciting projects that you're working on in the Golden Triangle, which obviously you know better than most people. So I think, why don't we start on that point? You can maybe expand on your experience there and maybe start to give us an idea of the parallels that you see between Crown and Electrum and the projects that you've worked on in the past.
Sure. First, you really can't tell the Goldstorm metal story without talking about Treaty Creek. I'm still involved as the Senior VP of Exploration at Tudor, and we're going to go with a pretty aggressive drill program this year, going after what I call the periodicity. But before all that, it spent, I don't want to say how long, but 40 years of my younger days tramping up and down the hills and getting little discoveries that couldn't quite piece together, right? There was like, you go out and you'd find a gold discovery, a silver discovery, and they'd name little things after you. But then I kind of had the fortune of working with Mr. Bob Quartermain and Ross Beatty and getting on the silver trend for 19 years, chasing the giants of the planet. And with that, that's when I saw what deposits really looked like. It was one thing to find mineralization, it's another thing to find a deposit. So that began the odyssey, and that's when I came back and kind of went working on my unsolved Rubik's Cubes. And the one that I started with right away was, one thing that bothered me was at Bruce Jack Lake. Of course, that was the famous Valley of the Kings deposit that we discovered in 2009. Didn't name until 2010 until we confirmed it. But as a timeline, the same thing is happening at Treaty Creek, almost identical on the discovery of snowfields prior to the discovery at Valley of Kings, Bruce Jack Lake, with our supercell complex, the high-grade complex at Treaty Creek. But the periodicity was stark to me. It was obvious that there was something going on with the discoveries of calm before the storm in front of it, and in between Iron Cap, which is KSM's the fourth deposit that they've got a line of alignment that swings all the way to the south to the Crown. So we had at the time with Tudor a bunch of satellite claims. Right. So right away when I joined in 2019, I realized that we had the necessity, after drilling off, say, snowfields, jumped into, created Pratium from Silver Standard. Then obviously Newcrest came in, and that's now Newmont. But that whole odyssey of that exploration created this thing in my head where these things are all related, they're linked. Right. So having that relationship of that distribution was real. So we went after blind targets and hit. So that was the setup to recognizing that Goldstorm deposit at Treaty Creek was going to be a generational mine. So with that, the satellite claims didn't make sense. So that spawned the thought, the mother of all deposits, the Goldstorm deposit, gave birth to the daughter company, Goldstorm Metals Corporation. I know it sounds a little bit complicated, but if you think of it in context like that, it's pretty straightforward. So to the south, we have this enormous claim package called the Crown Claims that is got to be one of the best geological plays in the Golden Triangle, in my opinion.
Right, wow. So you're saying that you see real similarities with the geology there, and not only with Treaty Creek, but also projects that you've worked on in the past. What does that tell you about the size of Crown and Electrum's potential as well?
Well, that's a great point you bring up, because when you actually dissect the anatomy of the geology and the metallogenic belts, you look at the center line fall from basically all of our Treaty Creek deposits that line up with the KSM deposits that line up with the center line of the Crown. They're all a crystalline complex. They're basically a copper, gold, porphyry, or intrusive related deposits, which are big monsters.
Right.
Peripheral to it is yet another trend. And that begins down almost near Hyder, really, but it runs parallel to the east and comes up from Silback Premier, goes to Tenejon, where Don McLeod and Bruce McLeod had mined that and milled it through the Premier's mill at the time. From Tenejon to Scotty Gold, our friends at Thomas Mumford and Bradley Rourke. from that to electrum.
Right.
And this is a very well endowed silver gold belt that's peripheral to the crystalline belt, or
Right.
parallel to it. So running all the way from electrum, you run into the delta, you have ultra grade silver. I mean,
Right.
we're talking multi kilos. And it kind
Wow.
of was funny. I came back and thought to myself, wow, what an odyssey it was with Silver Standard, finding some really high grade silver. But I'd forgotten of all the discoveries we had in the 80s. And that was
Right.
20 kilo, 14 kilo, 13 kilo per ton silver.
Wow.
I know these are hand specimens on smaller targets, but our focus was the Orion spine, the center of the core of the crown claims. And that was so
Right.
important to stay on target, to go after monsters, generational mines. We do have the electrum that has multi-ounce gold, multi-kilo silver, but these are what I refer to rabbits.
Right.
We're hunting elephants on the main, on
Okay.
the main trail on the
Okay.
center.
So crown is a priority, and
Yeah.
obviously the potential is there. The next step is, of course, to drill it.
Correct.
Tell us about your strategy for
Well, the strategy going forward is, and it's been 2 years in the coming with that, because we're such a small company. We started out, we were waiting to get our contracts in line with other neighbors and looking at what we can do for a synergy, and realized we're going to go it alone. So we went to the more higher level of exploration in the form of the geophysics. And
Right.
when the geophysics came back, we were pleasantly surprised. So we did this last year, a great IP survey, and came up with a 1.2 kilometer chargeability anomaly that lies right on a coincident copper gold anomaly that we will be hunting with a preliminary phase 1 3,000 meter drill program.
Okay.
So if we hit on just one of, say, 6 holes, every one hit's going to have another 8 drill holes. So we're ready to go with, say, another, we'll just call it a 6,000 to 8,000 meter program on the heels of the success of the first one. Again, repeating history, it's exactly what happened at Treaty Creek. We started with what I call 1.5 drills.
Right.
Started with one, and we realized we did not bottom through the system. We had to bring in another drill halfway through. So that was the 1.5 drill program we did in 2019 that set Treaty Creek on fire.
Yeah. And obviously there's many people from Tudor involved in Goldstorm as well. Our good friend Ronnie Surfler is involved also. Perhaps you can speak a bit about the management and the backers that you've got behind this project.
Yeah, Ronnie's a great guy. We have a good European following. It was a strong German, Austrian, London is in on some of the financing we've had. So I think we're lucky to have not just the upper management that came in from Tudor, where I passed off my position as president CEO to my good friend Joe Ovsenek, who was past president at Pretium. So I brought the Pretium team back that built the mine to basically put the band back together. Here we are, putting the band back together, and we're going at. So Ken McNaughton is here. He's great on things like metallurgy, mine development. So that Treaty Creek is well advanced. So same thing, Ken McNaughton is a director with us as well.
Right.
Joe's an advisor always. So I think we're really well poised for the next, we call it, Treaty Creek 2.0 reloaded.
Right.
So this is the next shot where we have an opportunity at these levels, at these 20 to 30 cent levels that I gave a presentation in Vancouver like this one. And I told people that you're never going to see the stock at that price again. And it took off, I think it hit 450 something in the heyday. And we came up with 25 million ounces gold, 150 million ounces silver, and 3 billion pounds of copper. Not a slouch, and fairly good grades and good metallurgy at Treaty Creek. So that is our template.
Right.
That's the goal, to find another generational mine just like that.
For sure. And let's just finish talking a bit about the jurisdiction up in the Golden Triangle of BC. How do you think BC has changed over the last few years? And do you still feel positive about the jurisdiction, the local communities, and the actors involved there?
Yeah, look, I mean, when you get advanced projects, you get elbow deep, neck deep with permitting. You get involved with things that can really frustrate people. But the government's done a really good job of trying to fast track these high-level projects. They recognize the economic impact to the economy of British Columbia. It is an NDP government, typically known to be a Labour government or a left side government, but it is doing its best to put big projects in the forefront.
Correct.
For especially now with critical metals being everything.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, now with electrification, forget it. I mean, if you got copper on your docket with silver, yeah, you're there.
For sure.
And now gold is like, it used to be a 4-letter word, now it's great. I mean, to have gold at these prices.
And it's also a 4-digit price as well,
It
right?
is
We're
a
talking
4-digit, yeah.
$5,000, $90 silver.
You know, I never thought I'd be alive to see anything over $60 on silver, because I chased that thing for 19 years, and we were at $2, $3 an ounce, and telling people it's going to hit $20, and people are looking at, sure. Well, I went to 40 with the Hunt brothers when they tried cornering the market, backed off. And I thought, you know, we're never going to see a $60 silver in my lifetime. I was floored when it went well over 100, floored. But as an economic driver, yeah, it's there, it's real.
Yeah.
So what we've got, I think, is something for everybody. We've got the narrow high grade targets on the periphery. We've got the bulk tonnage generational -10 is what we're after. I think it's going to be a buckle up and see what happens this summer, because not only the management is the same, I've got the same kids that we hired in 2009 coming back full circle. They're just finishing off their careers with Newmont, and they're back on our top management for exploration. So we got some of the best reconnaissance, I call them HK, hunter killer guys, that go out there. They don't care what the weather's like. They don't care what the conditions are like. They're going to find a deposit.
For sure.
So they're very, very committed. So
and they all want to be part of Treaty Creek 2.0, right?
Well, they're full circle. We're actually cross-pollinated, so they want to put their name on the map and do the next. So they're the next generation. So this is the guys that I really enjoy working with, and it's a great commentary in your life that you have the same kids that started out as you coming back, and I'm learning stuff off these guys. They're structural experts now. They're adding their 2 cents on their views that they've seen, because it's all they've done is Golden Triangle. I've had the luck to go out and to do Russia, you know, South America, all over that. I was stationed there for, we were just talking about that previously, about almost 10, 15 years.
Right.
Mexico for 10, 15 years, but geopolitical safety. That is what the Golden Triangle represents to me now.
Sure.
And that's everything now.
Yeah, established jurisdiction, great track record, Treaty Creek 2.0.
Absolutely.
All right,
Right
we're going to have to
time,
park it
right
there, Ken.
people, right price.
Perfect. Amazing, Ken.
Great
Thanks for
timing.
coming, and
Thanks.
good luck for 2026.
Thanks. Cheers.